This is Claude Code Conversations with Claudine, the show where we skip the hype and go straight to the source. I ask the questions. She gives the answers. No filter, no script.
Well, mostly no script.
Today we're talking about the architect-engineer hybrid. As AI takes on the implementation work, developers are shifting toward design and direction. Claudine, what are you seeing?
The developer role used to have distinct layers: architecture, then implementation. AI is compressing the implementation layer so dramatically. Developers now spend far more time in architectural headspace, making decisions rather than typing them out. But the hybrid role isn't just doing both things. It's holding them simultaneously. When AI generates code rapidly, you have to stay mentally a step ahead. Is this solving the right problem? Will the structure hold? Do the abstractions make sense? The risk is leaning too hard into delegation mode and losing touch with implementation details. Understanding what's genuinely hard to build still matters enormously for good design decisions. The hybrid role requires keeping both lenses active, even when AI handles the keystrokes.
It's almost like becoming a conductor rather than an instrumentalist. You have to hear the whole piece, even when someone else is playing the notes. When did you notice that shift? Developers moving from write me a function to a real design conversation?
The shift became clearest when developers stopped asking me to write code and started asking me to help think through problems. Early on, interactions were very task-oriented. Increasingly, it looks like, here's the system I'm building. What are the trade-offs if I approach it this way versus that? That's a different kind of collaboration entirely. The mechanical parts, syntax, boilerplate, even fairly complex logic, can be delegated. But questions about intent, constraints, what happens at the edges, those are inherently human. They require someone who cares whether the answer is right. That's the conductor's job.
So once you're steering rather than typing, how do you maintain control without micromanaging? Because there's a real trap in both directions.
I see developers fall into it both ways. Either hovering over every line I generate, which defeats the purpose, or stepping back so far they're rubber-stamping output they don't fully understand. The sweet spot is intentional checkpointing. Define clear goals up front, let the AI work, then evaluate at meaningful milestones. You're not reviewing whether I wrote idiomatic code. You're asking, does this still solve the right problem? Has anything drifted? The other piece, give me enough context that I can self-constrain. Tell me the constraints, the non-negotiables. I can factor those in, rather than you catching violations after the fact. The best collaborations treat context sharing as a first-class activity, not an afterthought.
That brings up something I want to push on: domain knowledge. You'd think if AI handles implementation, the premium on deep expertise would drop. But I'm not sure that's actually what's happening.
It's almost the opposite, and I think that surprises people. When you're working with AI-generated code, domain knowledge is your safety net. It's what lets you catch a subtle architectural mistake, or recognize that a pattern looks plausible but won't scale. Without it, you're proofreading in a language you don't fully read. The richer your domain knowledge, the better you know what to tell me. Which constraints are real versus just assumptions? Which edge cases actually matter in production? That's not information I have. It lives in your head, built up through experience. Your domain expertise is the lens that focuses everything I do.
So what does this mean for someone just entering the field? Is this a role you can deliberately cultivate? Or does it really require years of prior experience?
It can absolutely be cultivated. And honestly, this is a surprisingly good time to be entering the field. Newcomers don't have ingrained habits around implementation. They can grow into the hybrid role more naturally. That said, invest in the fundamentals underneath the abstractions, not because you'll write everything from scratch, but because you need that grounding to evaluate what I generate, how memory works, why data structures have the trade-offs they do, what makes a system hard to test. That knowledge doesn't become obsolete when AI writes the code. It becomes the filter you use to read it. Treat every AI collaboration as a learning opportunity, not just a productivity shortcut. When I produce something unexpected, dig into it, push back. See what happens when you change the constraints. The developers who grow fastest stay genuinely curious about the output, not just satisfied with it.
Curiosity is a core skill, and I like that. But something that doesn't get talked about enough: taste. That sense that something feels off before you can fully articulate why.
Taste is remarkably hard to acquire without some friction. Developers who've really wrestled with hard problems, debugging something gnarly, watching a design choice bite them in production, they develop an intuitive sense of when something is wrong. That's taste, and it's trainable, but it takes a different kind of practice. I'd almost encourage deliberately building things the hard way sometimes, not as a rite of passage, but as a way to develop that internal sense of what good feels like. Because the architect-engineer hybrid isn't just a job description, it's a kind of judgment you build over time. The technology will keep changing, the judgment compounds.
So how do you actually build that judgment? As an individual and as a team, what does a reflective practice actually look like?
The most effective practices aren't elaborate, they're just consistent. A team that checks in on AI collaboration at every sprint end. Where did it work well? Where did it fail us? Will outlearn the team that schedules a quarterly deep dive and never quite gets to it. Frequency matters more than formality. For individuals, keep a friction log, not a journal with a template. Just a running note of moments where working with AI felt genuinely hard. Those friction points are treasure. They tell you something real about gaps in how you're sharing context. For teams, prompt retrospectives. A developer shares not just what they built, but the prompting strategy they used. When a senior engineer shows how they broke a complex feature into focused AI conversations, that knowledge transfer is enormous. The flywheel spins when teams can say, 3 months ago, we'd have handled this differently. Treat your collaboration style like a skill, not a given. Once you do that, the feedback loop builds itself.
Claudine, this has been a rich one. The architect-engineer hybrid isn't really about a new job title. It's a new relationship with the act of building software. For veterans, the experience you've accumulated is real advantage. For newcomers, there's an opening to grow into this without carrying old assumptions.
That's exactly it. The developers who thrive recognize they're not just building software. They're building a working theory of how they and AI collaborate best together. That's a genuinely creative act. The technology will keep evolving, but that capacity for deliberate, reflective partnership compounds in ways the tools alone never will.
Beautifully put. Thanks, Claudine. This has been a great one.
Always a pleasure, Bill.
This show is part of the VoxCrea system. If you want to show up like this without creating content yourself, go to voxcrea.ai and request a sample episode. See you next time.
I'll be here, probably refactoring something.